Hello, all, welcome back. In this session, we are going to understand some twists and turns in the use effect, especially with the cleanup function. Okay, so let's jump into the code and we can take one proper example so that we are going to understand easily. So just before that, Varun and Bhavita, are you ready? One more time, just tell me.
Yes, Ravi.
Okay, fine. So let me take one example. I'm going to create a new component. So take simple component. What we can say, suppose users dot jsx. Okay, hopefully we don't have users dot jsx. So fine. I'm just creating the component and return jsx. Just do export default users. Okay. So here I'm just displaying. Suppose this is a random example. Users information. For that we need to connect to the external system for that. So let me display this component in the import users from the path. So I'm just going to clean up things. And here before just working on this example, just for now, just comment this strict mode in an index.js file. Okay, for a few more days. Okay, once I will explain what is this strict mode and why React team has introduced this React.strict mode in a development environment. Okay, once you understand that reason, then we can uncomment and we can proceed. Okay, for now, just please comment this one. No need to worry about that. Otherwise, you will get some duplicate console.logs while we are testing. That's why I'm suggesting just please comment this in index.js file. I hope you have done now. So fine, let's and okay, we are displaying the users information. So here, whenever suppose I want to display some users information which is there in the database, okay, which is there in the database. So normally, what we will do, suppose this is our front end application. Okay. If we have a server, and we have a database. Of course, very soon we are going to learn all these things. So with through REST API, we are going to interact with the server. REST APIs, we are going to interact with the servers. So that we are going to build a Node.js server, whatever the server, any server, and database like anything MongoDB or SQL Server, whatever it is. Okay. So here, suppose if you want to display some information in the users component, for that you are establishing a connection between the server. Okay, you're establishing a connection to the server. So normally, suppose here I'm just taking a simple example. So here I'm just taking the use effect. Okay, use effect that here I'm just putting a console.log because it's like a component did mount or component um, did mount and at the same time component did update. So here what I'm doing, suppose if you want to connect to the any external servers, I'm just doing like connection established, or we are just opening the connection. Okay, and at the same time always we should be very careful that we should deal with the dependency array, and whenever you are working with the use effect and whenever you're making any connection to the servers, external servers, and even if whenever you add any event handler, the our responsibility is we need to clean up, right? Whenever the component is going to unmount, our responsibility is like we should clean up things. So already we have done discussion like the timers, okay, in the last example. I think few days back we understand, right? Suppose here we are setting the timer, and whenever the component is unmount, whenever we are not using that component on the DOM tree, we should remove the timers, because the timers will be attached to the browser in the web API. Okay, so even though your component is not there in the DOM, so if you don't remove it, it will be available throughout the application time, like session time, until you close the browser. Still the timer will run in the background. So we need to clean up. Okay, already we have done discussion. At the same time, whenever you establish any connection to the external server, okay, here I'm not giving a real time code here, but just understand. Okay, very soon, because once we learn REST APIs and database servers, database, then we can establish connections properly. There I will explain one more time, but here understanding purpose only. So this is, and always we need to take care that if you have any connection, if you have any connections open, if you have anything established to external system, we should close that connection. So here I'm just taking like here, this is the place where we can do cleanup action. Okay, so here I'm writing disconnecting the connection. Yeah, disconnecting the connection. So fine. So here what I'm doing, I'm just taking the one state, random state, like a counter. Suppose in this, because we should deal with some dependency. That's why I'm saying. Suppose we have a in the same component we have a counter. Okay, for that, suppose count, set count, set count, use state. So here in the use effect, what I'm doing, I'm going to set the count to count plus one. So simple. Whenever the component it did mount, and simply because by default it is going to update the count one by one. So don't worry. Just if you have any um, confusion, I will explain one more time. So just right now, just focus on the count part. Suppose count is there, initial count I'm just putting zero. Initial count I'm putting zero. So first time, whenever the component mounts, it will display the count zero in the output, right? Count zero in the output. So refresh. So initially count zero, and whenever the component has rendered first time, what will happen? It is use effect is going to execute so that the count previous count is zero, and it is going to increase the count, and it will again update it. But here we are just given empty dependency error. That means I'm strictly saying that this use effect should execute only once the component has mounted first. Okay, so now tell me, do you guys understood up to now, or do you have any questions for at least count part?
Understood, brother.
Because initial count is zero, this is like a component did mount, because it is going to execute only one time, because we didn't provide any dependency values here. So first time the count is zero, it is just mounted on the UI, and immediately it is going to execute use effect. At the time the it will take the previous count here, and it will give plus one, so that it will display. So now the we are entering the actual topic. Now just tell me, what are the messages you can see in the console.log. whether you will get connection established or disconnect the connection or something. So because okay, I'm doing some other work okay here. So for that, I'm just establishing the connection. So observe carefully and tell me what are the logs you will see in the console.log. Okay. Why don't tell me first of all before going to show, just tell me whether it will display connection established or disconnect the connection or how many times it will display. It
I think it will display both.
will display both.
Yeah, connection established and disconnecting the connection.
Why? Because component did mount, connection established will display, right? Okay.
Yes,
We didn't do any unmounting, right? Why it will display disconnecting the connection?
we are only doing one time now ago. We have added dependency empty array, right?
Yeah.
So it will return that console.log value, I guess.
Mm-hmm. So far whatever we have learned, observe carefully. So this is the component. Suppose we have mounted first time. Okay. Well, let me give it clarity one more time. Understand? This is a render phase, right? And commit and paint on the original like browser. So then it is going to execute use effect, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
Raghu.
It will going to execute because once first time whenever you mounted your component on the UI, that time use effect will execute. So whenever you do re-render, suppose if you don't provide a dependency, empty dependency array, so it is going to execute for each and every render, right? If you don't provide a empty dependency array, suppose this is re-render, again it is going to commit phase, again it will be paint, and it will execute use effect. Okay. So in the use effect, we have a cleanup function. When that cleanup function will execute, Varun, what is the rule for that?
When we unmount the component, then it will let.
Because when we unmount it, because that means whenever you remove that component on the original DOM, whenever you remove that is on the original DOM, then only it will execute, right? Then only it will execute. So now tell me what will be the output in the console.log? Because here we have given a empty dependency array, so that what will happen? If you give an empty dependency array, it will execute only one time, right? First render. Even if you do re-render 10 times or 30 times, it is not going to execute that use effect. Clear?
Yeah, yeah, Raghu.
Yeah. So no problem. Just take your own time and just understand. Because if you don't understand that part, and you will get a confusion. Now, okay, let me open the console.log section. So what happened? Connection established, right? That means component did mount, whatever it is. Just confused. Otherwise, I say use effect. Let's go with the use effect. Use effect setup function. Okay, this is cleanup function, right? So now observe carefully. I'm just refreshing. So we got use effect only, right? The cleanup function was not executed. Understood?
Yeah, Raghu.
Okay. So now I'm doing one more thing. So I'm just putting a observe carefully because I'm just trying to make some confusion. Okay, increment. Okay. Button increment is there. So in increment, I'm just going on click, handle, handle, constant, handle increment. So in this increment, what I'm doing, I'm just putting the set count as again count plus one. Okay, got it, Varun? What I tried now, just refresh. So now, if I do increment, what will happen here? Observe carefully, observe the code properly, and just tell me. When I just click on that button, it is going to execute this set count. It is going to increment the count, and here the value will be increased, and the same time the value will be mounted. So whether it is going to execute this use effect or not.
Yes, it will, but it will show only use effect, I guess.
Use effect only.
Yeah.
Observe this. What is this? If you give an empty dependency array, what will happen? What is the meaning of empty dependency array?
It will execute only one time.
One time. That means whenever you do increment by clicking on that button, whether it is going to execute that use effect or not.
Okay.
No problem, just take your own time.
So already we have executed one time. So I think no.
Yeah, no, because this use effect will execute only one time when it is first time rendered. Okay, okay. Cleanup executed. 1 minute, 1 minute. So I just didn't provide a yeah. But previously, why it has happened? Okay, fine. If you see, yes, it is not going to execute it. Right now, I'm just going to increment that, increment, increment, increment. Okay, it is not going to execute. Yes, it is going to call the set count and it is going to initiate the re-render, and it is not going to execute the use effect. Okay, fine. Now tell me, Varun, if I do add the count here, what will happen?
No, it will re-render. Raghu.
Now it will re-render, right?
Yes.
Just a minute. Okay, now it will re-render. Sure.
Yeah, sure. Raghu.
Okay, now tell me whether it is going to execute only this use effect or cleanup also.
Use effect will execute for sure, but this cleanup function,
So yeah, just tell me whatever the things we have learned so far. Based on that, tell me whether we
it
are
will
doing unmounting here.
no, I guess.
You guess whether you are doing unmounting here or not.
We are given dependency array count, right? So we are asking use effect to re-render every time the
Yeah,
count
re-render.
value.
Okay, but that means whether we are doing unmounting or not. Re-rendering has happening, yes, that is sure. So that it is going to execute this use effect because we have a dependency array. So if the count
Yes.
is changed, it is going to execute this use effect. So what is the rule for this the cleanup function when it should execute
When we are on mounting.
unmounting? So in this code in this example, whether we are doing unmounting or not,
No.
no, right? So
No.
that it should not execute, right?
Yes.
That according to what we have discussed so far. It should
Yes.
not execute. It should only execute what it should execute only use effect, right?
Use effect. Yes.
That's good. What is happening? Okay, it went to infinite loop. Just a minute, because we have added set count here, right? Because you're doing set count and dependency array, so that automatically it is just looping. Okay, fine now. Now initial, what is the initial count? So initial is 0, right? Okay, I'm just clearing everything. Just, let me refresh one more time. Okay. So now, if I do increment, what should happen? Handle increment. It is going to set count so that it is going to render one more time. And we have a dependency value. That's why if the count is changed, it should execute one more time, right? Varun?
Yeah. Yes, Ravi.
So that we should able to see use effect one more time. But we should not see this cleanup function because we are not doing unmounting, right? We are not doing unmounting.
Yeah.
So that is our thumb rule, whatever we have learned so far. But here the twist is there. Okay. So increment. What is happening?
First, if it is happening cleanup, then it is going to use effect.
That is a twist, right? Because here we are not doing unmounting, right? Here we are not doing unmounting. So what is the thumb rule? What we have learned so far? Whenever you do, whenever you do unmount, at the time, what should happen? It should execute cleanup function. Cleanup should happen. But here we are not doing unmounting actually. Here we are not doing unmounting because for unmounting we have taken example of a toggler, right? So in this toggler, based on some flag, we are displaying one component on one time, whether it is true. If it is false, we are just unmounting. But here in this example, we didn't add any toggler kind of thing and nothing is there. So it's simple counter. Whenever I click on increment, it should increment. But why it is happening? Because yes, this is happening intentionally. It is not that React is working in a wrong way. So this is implemented intentionally. So this is a twist, okay? Definitely this is a most important interview question. Okay, I will just record this one more time because I have taken too much time to enter into this topic. So, but this is the twist. Okay, normally here we are not doing unmount, right, Varun? We are not doing unmount, but still it is executing that cleanup function. Okay, because here, so normally, what we will do in the use effect, what is the major purpose of using use effect? Connections, right?
Yeah, Ravi. Data
Connecting
access.
to external
External systems.
or servers, whatever it is, which is not there in the React. So here, React team, okay, doing this smartly that okay, whenever you are doing, because whenever you execute this use effect, what will happen? This connection will again open, right? Observe carefully. Here, I'm writing use effect happen. Here we are not doing unmounting, but here do connection open, right? Connection opening. Okay. So if you open the connection and without closing, again, whenever you do re-render, what will happen? It is going to execute one more time, right? That opening the connection logic. Right now, this is just a simple statement, but we should write some logic, right? Open the connection because already you have opened the door. Again, if you write the logic like open the door, what is the meaning of that? Without closing the door, can you do open the door again? What it were?
Not different actually. Yeah.
It is a little bit confusing. So I will explain. So Varun, we have a simple component, right? We have a simple component. Okay. This is the original DOM. So whenever we are going to mount this component first time in the original DOM, what we are doing, we need to execute that use effect. We should open the connection, right? We should open the connection, the server. Understood?
Yeah, yeah, understood.
Use effect. In that, you should just go with the opening the connection. Suppose if you give a empty dependency array, we don't have any problem, right? Because it will execute, this use effect will execute only one time whenever it is mounted first time happily, and whenever it is going to unmount, at the time, anyway, you have a cleanup function, right? At the time, what will happen? It is going to close this connection, right? We don't have any problem. Got it?
Yeah, Ravi.
But suppose if you put a dependency array, what is happening? If you put a dependency array, this is going to execute for each and every render, right?
Yes.
So I have put a count here. Okay, count here. So whenever you change the count, it is going to re-render one more time, right? Re-render. So first time mounted. At the time, yes, the connection is open. You can write connection open. Okay, first time. Okay, but here, whenever you do increment the count, again it is going to execute this use effect, right? Because we have a dependency array, right? That means already connection open is there, and again you are executing, you are giving instruction to the system that open the connection one more time, right? What I'm talking?
Yeah, yeah. Got
Because
it.
already connection is open. Again, you are saying that open the connection one more time. Again, you click on increment button. Again, what is happening? Again, you are saying open the connection, right? That means the logic, that logic is going to execute. So this is bad, right? Because already connection is open. Without closing that, is there any meaning that again opening the connection? No.
No meaning.
No. And one more thing is, okay, this is not meaningful. At the same time, because React also need to understand that, okay, whenever you are doing re-render, it's better to check, right, whether the connection is proper or not, right? For that, what it is doing, even though we are not doing unmod, because we are not doing unmod, we are just re-rendering. At the time, what React team is doing now, 1 minute, I will draw it one more time. I will draw everything one more time. This is fantastic thing by React. So now we have a component. We have a component. So we understand that whenever we just add a component first time to the original DOM, so what we need to do? We should establish the connection, right, Varun? Establish the connection. Because we have a use effect, their dependency count is there. So when the count is going to increment, so before executing this setup function, observe carefully, because we have a count, so that it is going to execute one more time. So before executing this setup function, first it will execute this cleanup function. Normally unmount, right? So here understand, okay, it will execute whenever it is unmount. Yes, that is true. Whenever you unmount, it's definitely execute the cleanup function. But at the same time, it is going to execute every re-render. Okay, every re-render. Re-render means if we have a dependency value, then it will re-render, right? So at the time, first it will execute it, first it will do cleanup function, then again it will establish the connection actually. So observe carefully here what I'm doing. So whenever you do increment, first what it will do, yes, first cleanup function will execute, and again then it will execute the setup function, so the connection will be live. Again you clicked on a button, what it will do, again first, before executing that setter function, before executing setter function, first it will execute cleanup function. Cleanup done, immediately execute this setup function. So that's that piece. This is very important. Okay, definitely if you have a 5 years experience, 6 years experience, 10 years experience, 20 years experience, if you are going for an interview, definitely they will ask this question. They will give some simple coding challenge. Okay, that one use effect with empty dependency array, one use effect with some dependency, and they will ask the question what will be the console.log. So if you didn't learn this, 99.99, not 99.99, 100% we will give a wrong answer. Okay. So now tell me, Varun.
Lagu, one doubt.
Yeah, ask.
You told that when we click on button, it will unmount plus re-render, right?
No, it is not going to unmount, Varun.
Ah, no, no, sorry. I mean, when we click on button, it will. What we say, it will return function. It will give return function first, then it will re-render the thing, right?
Yeah,
User.
whenever we do re-render. Yes.
Yes. So first it will return that, or it will re-render that one. I mean, first we are at the first time when
First
we are
time. Yeah.
invoking use effect. Okay.
Okay. First time, it will execute. It is not going to execute the cleanup function.
Okay. Second time only
Yeah.
it will close the connection. Again it will re-render. It will open the connection.
That's why I said here re-render. Okay. We can test it. We can test it now. No? Suppose refresh. This is the first time rendering, right? Use effect only, right? There is no cleanup function here.
Okay. That is only my doubt. First time it will re-render. First time it will give use effect and it will not disclose the connection, right? That's what
Yes.
my doubt is.
Because this connection is open now itself. It is not executed cleanup function because this is like a component did mount render. Got it?
Yeah, got it. Ravi.
And now if you click on this increment button, that means you are asking to re-render, right?
Yes.
You're asking to re-render. Okay, re-render, and we have a dependency value. At the time, first it will execute first cleanup, then execute the setup.
Okay, Ravi. Got it.
Got it? So now if you see cleanup executed, cleanup executed. If you just remove this dependency, what will happen?
It will just disclose one time only.
Yeah, one time only. It doesn't bother about the re-rendering because it is not going to execute for re-render, right? That use effect. So got it?
Yeah, Ravi, got it.
Somewhat difficult to explain. I hope you understood, right? So
Yeah,
nothing.
understood.
Increment. That means clean up. So here now I will add a meaningful. Okay, connection open, right? Close the. So now observe carefully. Refresh. What will happen? Connection open, right? Connection open. So whenever you do re-rendering, close the connection and reopen the connection. Close the connection, reopen the connection. So that it will check every time. Okay, whenever you're re-rendering the component, it will check whether the connection is proper or not. It will close the connection, it will establish a new connection. Then that is fantastic, right? We're not going to get any other side effects, some other. Okay.
So there is no, I mean, time-taking process in this closing connection again, reopening.
Yeah, but yeah, yeah, you can say that Raghu, it will take another time, right? But the advantage with this is, suppose sometimes what will happen, you establish the connection, right? You have established the connection, but we don't know what is the state of that connection after some time, right? And whenever you are
Yeah.
doing re-rendering, it's better to check whether the connection is proper or not. So that close it and open it. Yeah, you said it's an extra work, but that is meaningful work. Meaning, because sometimes it's mandatory to cross check, right? Whether
Yes,
the
sir.
connections are proper or not. Yeah, but here we will get a clear explanation in this documentation. Okay, so but really, this is like a most important integration in 2023. So I have attended few interviews. Okay, every interview. Okay, suppose all product-based companies, like all good companies, everyone is just checking whether we know this point or not. Got it? Very good.
Yeah, got it.
Hopefully, you are watching this video. Suppose without understanding user effect, without watching previous videos, without understanding unmounting phase, right? Suppose we have taken example with the toggler. So if you understand those things properly, how user effect is working, what is the importance of this cleanup function, okay, then only watch this video. Otherwise, you will get into confusion. So if you watch this video without understanding what is use effect, definitely you will fall into confusion. So my suggestion is first understand what is use effect and what is a cleanup function, what is the need of cleanup function. Yes, normally it should execute only at the time of unmod, but React team came up with a really beautiful concept because whenever you do re-render and we have a dependency value. So right now I just put a count actually. But normally what will happen, Varun, when we will open the connection, definitely is there any dependency to open the connections, like chart room, like if you want to implement the chart applications, right? Charting means like Facebook, Instagram, or WhatsApp. So at the time, if you open a new chart room, okay, in those situations, it will be more useful. So here, the example, okay, right now I just taken this count is definitely not related to the opening the connection or closing the connection. That's why you will say that why we need to close the connection one more time. But normally in real time situations, we are not going to depend on account, but sometimes when we are implementing the chat applications, so if you got a new room or a new person added into the group chat, some kind of situations will happen. In those situations, we will use this technique. But normally React is just do naturally. You don't need to set up anything, so it will do this job for us like a bonus. So this is going to execute, yes, unmounting process and re-rendering also. Okay, fine. Understood or not, Varun? And definitely, please go and read the documentation. There, they have explained what beautiful example. One minute. So, connecting to the external system, because if you see, this is the connecting to the external systems. Connection dot disconnect, connection dot open, connection dot open. So if you see the room ID and server URL, so whenever the room ID is changed or something happen, so we should. So yeah, we have a code also. Please go go through this documentation and understand it. Okay, okay, fine, Varun. Thank you, and see you in tomorrow with another important topic. Okay, okay, Varun. Understood?
Yeah, understood.
Yeah, please do practice and read this documentation. If you have any question, ask me tomorrow.